Hello, hello, God bless. Welcome back to my channel. It's Crystal Love for Jesus here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm glad you guys are here with me today. I pray you're having a blessed, wonderful day. We are watching a rapture dream again, and this is from Sister Heart of Flame. That's the channel name. You can check her out in the description box below. I'll always leave the link down below if they have a channel. If sometimes not, then there won't be a link. But we do have a link for her. And yeah, so you guys, let's get into it and check it out.
Okay, so I woke up this morning and had a dream. It isn't, it's a rapture dream, but we weren't taken up. So it was just I think a he's coming dream. We were about to be taken up.
Yeah, I had dreams like that
Something
too.
was definitely about to happen. Okay, so so I've been for a long time, years, looking for a car, wanting to get myself a new car, like an SUV or something. So in the dream, I've been having a hard time wanting to pull the trigger and buy one. I just do not want to. Okay, sorry. So I haven't wanted to really buy one to I don't want to spend the money. I want to buy one, I just don't want to spend the money. So in the dream, I had purchased an SUV, and I was driving in an area that I don't really recognize. It had a lot of fields, or it was just outside. It was like a 2-lane road, and it was just a really pretty sunny day. Blue skies, clear, like blue skies, maybe a couple of white, like pillowy clouds or something. Just a really pretty sunny day. You wanted to be outside doing stuff. Mm-hmm. And there were fields on the left and right of me. And I should say I was not driving. I was in the back seat, and my father was in the passenger seat, and my son was driving. And it was I don't know, I know I have to put this in there. It was a used SUV, because I just don't want to. So I really liked the car. I was like, yep, this is good. It works. It's good. It's fine. So we were driving, and I knew that we were taking my father to a doctor's appointment. And it really wasn't an appointment. We were just it was like a drop-in. He was going to go see a doctor. I don't know why. I remember telling him, why didn't you, it would have been easier to make an appointment, or why didn't you make an appointment? He's like, no, it's okay. It's just I can just walk in. But I don't know what it was, or what the point of it was. And my son was driving. We were just going along this 2-lane road, and make sure I'm not missing anything. So we were driving, and then all of a sudden my dad goes, hold on, I forgot something. And he got out of the car. I don't know. It wasn't like, I remember the car stopping and he got out, but he didn't fall. It was like, I don't know, it must have paused and he got out and he was out of the car. And I was thinking, he's going to walk back to wherever we were starting and get whatever it was that he forgot, or what was going on, what he needed. I have no clue. And he goes, y'all go ahead, and I'm going to go get this and I'll catch up with you, type thing. Okay. So then we go through and we make it to the other side of this little tunnel area. It opens up again, and we have fields to the right and left of us again, and it's a really clear, sunny day. Still, nothing's wrong, no indication of anything. And I'm looking out the passenger back window where I'm sitting. I'm kind of in the middle of the seat, but I'm looking out the passenger side window on the back, to my right, and I look in the sky, and I see above this field, like in the sky, in the blue sky, like a circle that's not huge, not small, like a medium. I don't know how to put the size of the circle. Kind of like not as big as when you look up and see. Well, no. Yeah. Okay. So it's the size of when you look up and you see the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's the size of the sun when you look up. Like the sun's high. It's a hot day. It's just high and it's just kind of there. Okay. And it starts having like these gold fireworks, like, those gold fireworks when you're watching like 4th of July, and they kind of, and they mist off, like, and they have little sparkly looks, and it's going around it. Like all of a sudden there's a circle and it's moving like this, like around in this gold firework type look. But then all of a sudden it would go gold, 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 like it go and make a circle. And when it would flare off of it, like the firework, like it would all around. Okay, and it kept doing that, and I was like, oh, that is so pretty. And I knew that something was up. I knew that it had something to do with Jesus. I was like, something's going on. Okay, and my father was in the passenger seat, but he wasn't looking out. He didn't look out the window. But my son that was driving kind of leaned and was leaning and trying to like look out my backside window.
Her dad seems so like distracted all the time. Maybe that's something. Distraction versus being really focused.
So he could see it. So he's looking out my window in the back, driving with his left hand kind of leaning, and he was like, oh, I see it. Like, oh. And then I was like, you need to drive. Like, watch the cars. You need to drive. Then he'd turn around and he'd keep driving. And then he'd look again, so he would look on the road to make sure he was going good. And then he'd look again because he wanted to keep watching it. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden we were in the little area, like the town where the doctor's appointment was. It didn't have a lot in the town. I don't remember seeing any more buildings, but you could tell you were in there's more cars in front of us, and more cars, more populated for some reason. And on the right-hand side, there was the entrance and the exit to this. It was like a doctor's office building. So it wasn't a hospital. It was like a doctor's office building. And you had the entrance and the exit. And the building was up on a tall hill, like not a mountain, but like a really tall hill. And it was at the top with the parking area and everything. So you had to enter in, like turn into the entrance and go straight up. It had a little lean. So, but one of those really steep driveways, but really steep. Like, because I remember my stomach kind of turning like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like these. The car's going to kind of flip backwards or something. And my son just kind of took the hill, no problem. And it was a straight entrance. And the exit was right beside us on the left-hand side, but they were separated. And so you went up, and at the top of both the exit and the entrance were gates, like those lifty gates, like in a parking garage, where you have to usually put tickets in. And I was thinking, there's no way we're going to stop on this hill to put a ticket in. I do not want to stop on this hill to put a ticket in. And we went up to the gate, and it just opened up and let us in. It has a curb that goes around, and there was a grassy area that had some other type of building. It was like maybe where people could go and eat or do little picnic things or something. Okay, so there was a space that was open in front of that against the curb. And I parked by this other, like, bigger SUV. It was starting to get, like, dusk. So it was starting to get dark. It was starting to get dusk. And I got out of the car, and I was like, look. And up in the sky, so you had the round gold firecracker thing going in a circle, and then below it, so it was like a line. So they went from top, and then there was another thing and another thing. Okay. And I was looking, and there was like a firecracker circle, and then below it was a clock. And it was a big clock, but it was just the face, like the face of the clock. And it was Roman numeral. So it was black Roman numeral. And there was like, a 12 and then something underneath it. It was like doubled, like all the way around, something all around the face. And the hands of the clock were kind of like black scrolled hands that move around. And they weren't fixed on a time. They were going kind of like haywire, but not haywire. They were just going around and around and around. They weren't at a fixed point. They did not want to stop. They were just moving around and around and around in like almost two different directions, like vroom, vroom, vroom. I'm trying to think what came next. So then, okay, so this family was loading things into the SUV. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. So before I got out of the car to see all this stuff happening, the family was kind of sitting in the car, and the grandma was sitting on the front passenger side and had a window down. I was like, Jesus, it's Jesus. Jesus is coming. And she kind of looked at me through her window, and she goes, who's Jesus? And so I was like, what do you, like, Jesus is coming. So I started like telling them about the good news and who Jesus was. And so when I was getting out, I was like, look, the skies, Jesus is coming. There was more signs. And that's when I noticed the clock and the pendulum. Okay. And so I'm telling her and her family and the little boy, the 12-year-old boy in the baseball cap, about Jesus. And there's more people gathering like around the other side in the parking lot, around the side of my car. And they're kind of looking at the skies and kind of listening. And, the grandma was really nice faced, and she was listening, and she was kind of like, trying to understand. The mom, her facial and how she was talking was acting like she knew, and she was really nice. She didn't want to butt up against anyone, but she knew, but I don't know if she was saved. Okay. The father was very argumentative, like didn't want to have anything to do with it, didn't want to hear it, didn't want me telling his family, just needed to be quiet. And the son was just quiet. Okay. So, after I saw this and I saw the pendulum, the son was leaning, they were outside now standing, and the son was leaning against the side of their car, and I walked up to him and I hugged him, and I had him close, and we were kind of like talking, right? And I was like, you like baseball, and you're going to play baseball in heaven. Like, you're playing baseball in heaven. And he was like, he said something, and he goes, just don't talk to my dad. Like, don't say anything to my dad. Don't talk to my dad. He's kind of like blind. He's not going to see. He's just me or something. Okay. So he kind of pushed away from me, not pushed away, but we stepped away out of the hug. Okay. And, I then realized that the other family members, the grandma and the mom, wanted to kind of listen, but they didn't really hear it. The dad had nothing to do with it, but I knew that the little boy was going to be saved or understood, and he was going to be in heaven. Okay. So then I walked to the back of my car, and I was still looking up at the skies. It was night at that time, clear sky, night. It had like you could tell some maybe clouds, like white clouds or something, like scattered, but it was clear. And I was looking at everything that was still going on, like that line. And I kind of sat in the parking lot just wanting to gaze up at the sky. And so I sat in behind my car in the parking lot, just looking up at the sky. And my son sat beside me, looking up at the sky. And then so we're both facing the backside of my car, looking up at the sky. And the mom and the dad from that family were sitting kind of beside us, in front of us, but they had their backs against the sky, and they were looking the opposite direction toward the medical building. I still don't know what this medical building was about. No clue what was going on in there. Okay. My dad still hadn't come out. Okay. And they were looking the opposite direction. They had like their knees like pulled up, kind of toward their chest, but they weren't holding them. They were sitting with us. And the woman, his wife, wanted to kind of listen, but was just kind of like a people pleaser type person. Like she knew, but she hadn't made a decision. And she was just really nice and kind, and she was listening. The man was still belligerent to us. And he was like, they're just like these freaks. They're just these freaks, just like those hippies. They're just these freaks like those hippies. And there was this older man that was walking up to us with white hair and a white beard. And he's like, yeah, just like him. He's just like these hippies. And I don't know who that man was, but he was an older man with white hair, shorter hair, and a white beard and like mustache. And it was clean cut, but it was white. Okay. And then at that time, the dad said, let's go. And so they all stood up and they loaded their ice chest and luggage into the car, finished loading, and then they left. So my son and I are sitting still on the pavement looking up at the sky. And we're the only ones sitting looking up. And all of a sudden, beside that circle and the clock and the pin, oh, I totally forgot. Really quick. I'm sorry. Before we sat down on the ground, I pointed to the sky, and I was telling the dad and the mom, but everyone that was around listening, and I pointed at the sky. I said, do you see that? Do you see that that's around the clock? Do you see that? And so it was a clock face, and it had something around it. And I said, that halo. I said, do you see that halo? I said, that's the rainbow. I said, that's around God's throne. That's the rainbow around God's throne. That is God's throne. Right? And then that's when we went and sat to look and stare at the sky. Okay, and all that happened.
Whoa. I have to pause it here. We've been watching for 29 minutes. Girl, this is a long dream. She remembers like everything in her God's just reminding her about things that are going on. And this dream is so detailed, it's crazy. And wow, I was getting some chills when she was saying that the halo and the rainbow is around God's throne, and thinking about the clock, like God, He is the author, He is the creator of time, right? Time, space, and matter. So it's like God is the controller of time, and it's crazy. That's just what I thought of when she was saying that. And Jesus is coming, the signs and the sun, the circle in the sky with I think she said it was like the gold around it, So really it's like, look at these signs in the sky. Look at the time, right? The times that we're living in is crazy right now. The clock is going crazy. The times that we're living in is crazy. You can see like the crazy clock and everything going around and stuff, So yeah, I mean, man.
So then the family got up, after all that, and they were like, he's just, those hippies. And then they loaded the car and they left. And we're still sitting there. So off to the line, so there's a line this way of the circle gold fireworks, the clock with the halo rainbow around it, and the Roman numeral numbers, and then the hands just going every direction, and then underneath it was the pendulum, both sides. Okay, so on the other side of that, a little ways away, there was like this scroll that opened, but it was flat when it opened, and I don't know what it said on it. I don't know what it was. I don't know. And then all of a sudden there was this big bee that started flying and buzzing around it and going in circles and then kind of going over the scroll and then around. And it was sparkly like glitter lights. It was sparkly like glitter, and it was gold, sparkly, almost like that firework. And then black, and the black was even sparkly. So it had the black lines like a honeybee or whatever. Okay. And it was flying everywhere. And I was like, look to my son. And I was like, see, I knew the bees. It was real. The bee meant something. I knew that, I was given that. There's the bee. And, we were watching, and then all of a sudden I looked to the left at that medical building, and the medical building was not a medical building. It was a movie theater. And on the top of the roof of this movie theater, they had those big, like round lights, like those searchlights that when you have a grand opening, they kind of like shoot in the sky and move back and forth, or spin and move back and forth. They had those up on the roof of the building with lasers. Okay. And the lasers and those lights. So where I was watching, where God was showing things, it was clear. It was a pretty dark, and it was just dark. It was night, but it was like very clear what we were seeing, and it was very peaceful and like wonderful. And then over the movie theater, that direction, it was a lot of white, those white clouds, like light gray and white clouds. And it had the searchlights going and the lasers going above it, and a lot of the white smoke or fog. So it wasn't clear. It was a very misty, it reminded me of the fog that's coming across the states because of Canada's fires, that everyone has that white fog. Okay, like that polluted air, the smoke. Okay, like a smoke screen. Smoke screen, exactly, a smoke screen. Okay, and the lasers and the lights did a little, almost by the scroll and the bee, did a little animation, made an animation in the sky on the smoke screen and the clouds. So they used the smoke screen and the clouds to do a false animation. And I don't remember what it was. But then above the building, the theater now, okay, the theater, above it, everything was shooting, like everything was straight up on that smoke screen in the clouds, made the size of the building a big checkerboard. And it was black and white checkerboards, like squares, like a checkered flooring. Okay, like checkerboard. And there was these animation creatures that were kind of moving and jumping, not dancing, but moving and jumping and playing all above this board, or on this board. And one of them that I remember reminded me of Mickey Mouse, the old Mickey Mouse, like the black and white Mickey Mouse. And I remember saying to my son, no, like this is false. They're making a false animation in the sky. They're making a false animation. They're using this smoke screen in the clouds, and they're using like AI and like technology to make this false things and happenings in the sky. And over here by us, in front of us, is God's like truth. But they're making it look false. And so my son and I were looking at the stuff that we were looking at that were God's. And then I looked at the parking lot, and there was people all in the parking lot around their cars. And they weren't looking at gods. They were looking above the movie theater. And they were all mesmerized by the movie theater above it. And so they were looking at the deception. And there was people still walking in and out or going into this building, this medical building movie theater, going into it. And I thought, it's what I thought. They're using this smoke screen. They're using AI. They're going to deceive people in the skies with AI, and no one's going to realize the truth of God's signs and coming. And then I woke up. Okay, he was coming. Everything was shown in the skies. And Jesus is coming. Know him, know him, know him. Know a relationship, have a relationship with him. Not just a prayer, have a relationship with him. And don't be deceived. Mm-hmm. So many are going to get deceived. Don't be deceived.
Yeah.
I love y'all. God bless.
That was a very, very long dream. And I guess what I got out of the whole thing was that in the beginning, like they knew they knew that they were going somewhere, right? You're getting in the car, you're going, right? And that's kind of like a symbolic of, like you're on the road, you're on your path, you're on the way towards heaven, with Jesus. And her dad she was really focused on like everything that was going on. And her dad was like so distracted by things, distracted by like, oh, I forgot something at home. I need to go get that, and then like, I'll be back and stuff like that. And that's what I got out of that was like too much distraction, too much paying attention to like, things that don't matter, And then she was like paying attention to things that were like broken or whatever, and she was like, oh, whatever, it could be fixed, it'll be fine. So like she wasn't really worried about stuff. It seemed like, she was pretty focused and confident on like this is where we're heading, like symbolic, like we're heading towards heaven, we're following Jesus, we're on the path, we're on this journey, right? Because we're on this journey together, and we're trying to keep our family members with us, keep them going with us, and she sees the signs in the sky, and she's pointing at it, just like we're doing. Like you're seeing the signs in the sky, and you're saying like, "Hey, Jesus is coming. Look at these signs," and even signs with like the bees. I don't really understand what that would mean exactly, but it kind of makes me just think like, look at all the weird stuff that's going on that people are just like completely ignoring. People are going to people are seeking aid from the hospital. They're seeking aid from the hospital like they got all the answers, and like her dad was there and stuff. And then it turns into a movie theater. So it made me think like, look, it's all just a play. It's all just a show, like all that stuff is just a show, it's just a play. And that's kind of what it made me think of, right? Like the deceptions in the world, like people want to listen to, people at this place, and rather than believe the truth, in the Bible scripture, it says that God, because they would not believe the truth, God gave them over to a great deception. I can't remember exactly how that goes, but, he gives them over to the great deception that's coming, right? Because they reject the knowledge of the truth, so that they would believe the lie. So they're believing the lies instead of the truth, And and then just the clock and the time, like God is, he created time. He's the author and finisher of time, right? Time and everything, And like, wow, she's saying like, this is my throne, this is my throne room. So God is, he's saying like, look, I'm on the throne. I am the, controller of time, right? And, time is speeding up, time is almost up. And, things are about to go down, things are happening, and like deceptions are coming. So that's very interesting. Definitely, I would say this is a very more of like a symbolic dream of, yeah, like our journey, our road, like into being prepared and running our race, and staying on track. Stay in the car, you know, don't be getting out and like getting distracted by everything. So, um, yeah. If you guys made it to the end of this video, I'll be very surprised. And, you know, um, leave down below in the comments that we are on the right track. We are on the right track. Leave that down below. We are on the right track. And I'll see you guys again soon in the next one. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. God bless you. See you. Bye. 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 Goodbye. Bye.